1 week into a strike at the LCBO with no end in sight.
Tonight, the ongoing impact on customers and the call to expand hard liquor sales during the labor dispute. Good evening. It's Friday night, a time LCBOs everywhere would normally be filled with customers stocking up for the weekend.
But stores remain closed, workers on the picket line, and today came an intriguing request to try and help customers caught in the middle. CTV's Janice Golding joins us live with the details. Janice.
Hi, Michelle. Yes, there has been a twist in the story. The Canadian Taxpayers Federation asking for liquor to be sold in other stores than the LCBO. Meanwhile, workers here continue to protest the government's decision to allow for the sale of pre-mixed drinks, beer and wine at smaller retailers. Workers were marching the picket line outside the shuttered LCBO store on Avenue near Lawrence today. Customers dealing with the closure of 680 stores in the first LCBO strike in history.
I'm angry because I deliberately make my visit here so I have something to have with my dinner, which I enjoy very much.
9,000 unionized workers protesting Premier Doug Ford's plan to allow for the sale of beer, wine and pre-mixed drinks like coolers at supermarkets, convenience stores and big box outlets.
I traveled around the world and every other country I've been into, the United States or in Europe, corner stores all sell liquor. I can't see why not.
But the workers' union says the move would threaten thousands of jobs, adding that the creation of up to 8,500 new private retail locations for alcoholic drinks will mean less work, fewer jobs, and lower public revenues.
I do feel bad for the workers, you know.
That's something that has to be resolved.
While the LCBO and OPSU continue to clash, the Canadian Taxpayers Federation is wading into the fray, calling on the province to allow grocery stores to sell all types of liquor while the LCBO remains closed.
And then Ontarians can be the judge as to whether or not these unionized, government-run LCBO locations are actually the best in terms of convenience, price and service.
The finance minister quickly quashed the idea this afternoon, though, saying the LCBO will continue to be the exclusive seller of spirits across the province. Furthermore, LCBO.com and the LCBO mobile app continues to accept orders, including spirits, for free home delivery anywhere in Ontario for the duration of the strike. So stores will remain closed as we enter the second week of the strike.
It sucks for consumers who want to enjoy their summers and whatnot.
I like sometimes cold beer and that's over.
Customers continuing to face a hot, dry summer. Now, wine is still being sold in many grocery stores, although customers tell us that the shelves are pretty bare. Meanwhile, the wine rack stores tell us that they are having record-breaking sales. Reporting live, I'm Janice Golding. Now back to Michelle and Nathan.
Thank you, Janice. Still ahead, a high-speed attempt to escape police caught on camera. A Lamborghini driver hits alleged speeds of more than 200 kilometers an hour on a GTA highway. The dramatic pursuit and conclusion in just a few minutes.
But first, demolition equipment sat idle today at Ontario Place, thanks to a court challenge that halted work at the site. It's the latest chapter in the ongoing saga over the future of the waterfront attraction. CTV's Beth McNeil joins us live with the story. Beth.
Nathan, Ontario Place Protectors is the group behind this challenge. It's made up of 14 people and organizations from the environmental, cultural, heritage, and architectural communities. They don't want construction to start up again until all the legal issues around the redevelopment here have been resolved. There is scaffolding on the skyline across the prized parcel of land that is Ontario Place. Its future already fraught. Now a legal challenge from a group called Ontario Place Protectors has put construction on hold.
Poor Dougie Ford, he's not getting a lot of good press lately. I'm a senior citizen, so I'm hoping the social network supports me, and it doesn't seem like the social network is really his strong suit. It seems like privatization is more his line of thought right now.
Would you go to the spa? Does it sound appealing to you?
I think it sounds out of my budget range.
The group's case to be heard by Ontario Superior Court argues, one, that powers from judges have been eroded by the Ford government creating legislation to bring in the spa and water park, which isn't constitutional. And two, that the land where Ontario Place sits doesn't belong to the government. It belongs to the people, essentially creating a trust which the group believes has been breached.
Ontario Place Protectors, I think, simply expresses a view that's very widely held by Ontarians basically everywhere. And that is a deep-rooted concern about the future of one of the most iconic pieces of land that we have in our province.
Plans to redevelop the underutilized site also include moving the now closed Ontario Science Centre from its home in Don Mills to Ontario Place, a beach and various public areas to soak in the lakeside atmosphere. But most of the people we spoke with along the waterfront trail next to Ontario Place are not excited.
Doug Ford have screwed up big time. And I hope that if there is any court challenge, I hope Doug Ford loses big time.
I think if we're going to have some private companies move into that area, I'd like to see more revenue for the city, I think.
I mean, it's going to be a new center, so I don't mind.
Even having a spa is great, but it's just going to have more commuters, more people coming in, and it's like we don't have the space for all the cars.
The lawyer for Ontario Place Protectors says it's a big step the Ford government agreed to stop the work for now, and the buildings and trees they're interested in have mostly been preserved up to this point. The case is scheduled to be heard next week, Friday, July 19th. We reached out to the government for comment. We received a statement from the Attorney General's office saying as this case is before the courts, it would be inappropriate to comment. Reporting live, I'm Beth McDonnell. Michelle, Nathan, back to you.
Thank you, Beth. Also tonight, looking back and moving forward, Olivia Chow marks 1 year in office as Mayor of Toronto. A one-on-one interview coming up.
But first, a live look outside on this Friday evening. Another summer weekend is here, and the weather is something special. Summer sun and heat in spades, looking like a bit of, not cloud cover. Is that cloud cover? Let's bring in Jess right now to talk about what's happening with our city skyline.
You're right on the button there. We are seeing a few little cells pop up. We saw some rain in Brampton not that long ago throughout Halton as well. We've seen a few showers pass their way through. They are fast, furious, and then they are gone. So it helps cool things down momentarily, and then the heat builds right back up. Temperature-wise, around the Golden Horseshoe, we're benefiting from some warmer air. We're holding on to temperatures in that mid-20 range, but feeling into that low to mid-30 range. So it is still really hot, very humid out there as we step into the early parts of our evening. We do have a heat warning in place over towards Windsor and Leamington. Their criteria for a heat warning is different than ours here in the GTA, so that's why we are not under one as we head in towards the early part of our evening and the weekend. It is a little drizzly out there. It won't last long, and before it is all said and done, we're looking at, maybe a few trace amounts, a few millimeters. It shouldn't be much. And then as we head in towards the overnight, just a little bit of fog, a little bit of cloud cover, but it will be fantastic as we step into the weekend. Coming up, I'll have your full forecast, whether you're staying local or you're heading up to the cottage. But right now, it's back to Nathan and Michelle.
All right. Thank you, Jess. Issued an arrest warrant for a 16-year-old boy in connection with a daytime shooting. The incident was captured on security camera. It happened at around 5 in the morning on Wednesday near Jackson Street East and Walnut. Police say there was a verbal altercation between two groups of males which escalated to gunfire. Investigators are looking for a 16-year-old suspect. He's facing numerous gun-related charges. He cannot be identified because of his age. Police say the incident is part of a disturbing trend of youth gun violence in Hamilton.
Looking for a Lambo high miler coming right at us. Okay, Air 2, got him. And I got him at about 212.
And take a look at this. York Regional Police shared this video of their air support unit pursuing a speeding Lamborghini Urus. This was on Sunday before 1 a.m. The vehicle had reached speeds of more than 200 kilometers an hour on Highway 407 in Vaughan. Police followed it to a residential street in Markham, where it struck a tire deflation device. The suspects then continued to try and flee police, traveling back on the 407, and you saw there earlier losing a tire at one point. The suspects made it to Richmond Hill and then an industrial area of Brampton. That's where the suspect got out of the Lamborghini and tried to flee in an accomplice's car. It took off, ran over an officer's foot in the process. Police on the ground were finally able to stop the vehicle, and 2 suspects were taken into custody. 2 men, 21 and 20 years old, both of Brampton, are facing charges.
We turn to the results of a CTV News investigation. The actions of a deputy commissioner of the OPP are now under the microscope.
After it was revealed a constable who attacked a prisoner in a jail cell never faced misconduct charges, even though she was later convicted of a crime. As CTV's John Woodward reports, all of that had devastating consequences for the man who discovered the assault had been caught on camera.
I began my policing career on April 25th of 2001.
This is a video that OPP Constable Charles Ostrom made during his treatment for PTSD.
There was a steady decline in my health, and others around me saw it.
A decline that started while witnessing horrific things on the job, but he was hit hardest doing desk work when he stumbled across this video. It's of Constable Bailey Nichols assaulting an intoxicated prisoner in the cells. The incident hadn't been reported to the SIU at the time, even though the woman was bleeding and needed staples.
I thought, I am seeing a crime.
The video didn't match official reports, said Ostrom, but his efforts to complain inside the force went nowhere. So he contacted retired Sergeant Robin Moore, who took it directly to OPP Commissioner Thomas Carrique, who tasked then Commander of the Professional Standards Bureau, Marty Kearns, with an investigation. Moore got this letter from Kearns in April 2020, about a month and a half later, saying, "I am satisfied that all officers involved did not commit misconduct." Moore turned to the SIU, which laid criminal charges. Nichols was convicted of assault causing bodily harm. The OPP had initially defended that call on the misconduct probe, but amid questions about how something can be a criminal act but not also be police misconduct, Commissioner Carrique has called for an independent investigation. The force said in a statement, to ensure transparency, Commissioner Carrique has requested that the Niagara Regional Police Service conduct a review of the OPP's organizational response to the matter involving Provincial Constable Bailey Nichols. Kearns, now a deputy commissioner. We reached him at an unrelated news conference.
So I thought it was fair to hear from you whether you thought that decision not to prosecute was fair, even though eventually she was convicted of criminal charges.
Again, thank you. We're here to talk about the success of Project Titanium and the carjacking task force.
One factor in Ostrom's PTSD, something called moral injury, a response to actions that go against strongly held beliefs. It's common in law enforcement when officers see things on the front lines, but it can also come from behavior inside a police service.
They can feel betrayed either by their colleagues or the organization as a whole.
Ostrom told us he's still in treatment, but does plan to return to work and plans to educate others in the OPP about mental health. After the conviction, documents obtained by CTV News show Nichols is now facing a misconduct charge for the assault. If that response had happened earlier, Ostrom believes he may have avoided another battle with PTSD. John Woodward, CTV News.
And if you have a story you'd like us to look into for CTV News Investigates, make sure to visit our website for secure and anonymous ways to get in touch.
Well, this could reduce travel times in some parts of the province. The speed limit on stretches of the 401 and 403 has been raised to 110 kilometers an hour. A 35-kilometer stretch of the 401 from Highway 35 to Cobourg, as well as the 403 from Brantford to Hamilton and from Woodstock to Brantford, saw the posted speed limits increase to 110 kilometers an hour today. There was also a boost to the speed limit on parts of highways 406, 416, and 69.
Toronto Mayor Olivia Chow is celebrating an anniversary tonight. It was 1 year ago she took office, and she is still riding high in popular support.
It's been a tough term, though, for Chow, who's been tasked with steering the city through financial hardship. CTV's Natalie Johnson spoke to Chow this week about the year and what lies ahead.
Well, Nathan, Olivia Chow rode into office in a surprise by-election and shifted the power balance at Toronto City Hall. But the progressive hasn't been as polarizing as some of her critics predicted, achieving close to consensus on many of the big files this year. 1 year into her term as mayor, Olivia Chow is often still a fan favorite. We love you. Beyond the walls of City Hall.
We're so happy that you are our mayor.
Oh, you want me to do it? I'm good. Her selfie game strong after taking thousands of them so far this term. Now 27 floors up above at the top of the tower where the politics play out.
Magnificent roof we have.
Chow is looking down and looking back on the year that was.
It feels like a year.
It was on this day 1 year ago that Chow became Toronto's 66th mayor, pledging to build a more affordable and more caring city.
The success is really hearing from the people, that they feel that we are making a little bit of difference, making their life a bit easier.
But taking office at a time when city infrastructure was starting to crumble.
We don't spend enough dollars on maintaining things, right?
Put added pressure on the administration to find the maintenance money fast.
City Hall here, in front of my office, if you go down there now, it's cordoned off because last Monday, when it was pouring rain, literally buckets was coming down. Our building is not in the best shape.
The mayor taking this video of the damage, a reminder on her doorstep of all the things in this city that still need a fix. The Gardner, perhaps the most obvious of them all. The aging infrastructure getting the attention it needs, but the outcry over the paralyzing impact on Toronto traffic has been a challenge for Chow.
The rebuild is taking time. We are speeding it up.
The mayor not revealing specifics of the plan that she says is still in the works with the province.
We'll have a package of things.
Is it fair to say that the package will accelerate the schedule?
Of course, we are looking at speeding things up.
The upload of both the Gardner and the DVP to the province as part of the so-called New Deal brokered with Queen's Park in the fall is among the mayor's biggest victories so far, proving what is politically possible across party lines. The move frees up close to $2 billion for investment in the TTC, roads, parks and more, though Chow insists the record-high 9.5% property tax hike this year was still necessary to sustain the operating side, at a time when the cost of living for taxpayers continues to rise.
There were a few that said, ooh, it's hard, right? And yes, I inherited the $1.8 billion budget deficit. We have to pay our way. If not, we'll just get deeper and deeper into the budget hole.
But Chow says the toughest file of all for her this year was one that was largely beyond her control as mayor.
The war in Middle East, because I'm just a local mayor. I have no impact whatsoever. It's hard because the anguish and the fear that I've felt by so many spill over.
Chow, though, has earned respect as a listener and a negotiator, successfully securing millions from Ottawa for housing needs and refugees, still making her case for new subway cars for Line 2.
We're just beginning to get the city back on the right track.
In the meantime, smaller wins over everything from potholes to patios, library hours and a TTC fare freeze have helped keep the progressive popular. Working against the clock of a shortened term, Chow says there is still much more to do when it comes to transit and housing.
It's just beginning. Let's just keep building on it.
1 year into Toronto's top job, 2 more to go.
Bye-bye.
Chow has also led the charge on expanding the city's affordable housing targets, though critics say the applause will come if they can actually be achieved. Reporting live, I'm Natalie Johnson. Michelle, over to you.
Thank you, Natalie. And the mayor mentioned construction on the Gardner. Something to note on that front, the city says a major milestone was reached this week. Crews installed the first of the new precast girders on the south side. Girders are large horizontal beams that support the elevated roadway. The city says replacing them is complicated and mostly takes place out of sight. These photos show the initial stages of the installation. City staff are also presenting plans to speed up construction of the 3-year project to councillors later this month.
Summer's in full swing in the city, which means a ton of events which involve everything from food to art to music. There's a sea of tents at Nathan Phillips Square where the outdoor art fair is taking place all weekend. Little Jamaica Fest takes over Eglinton Avenue West between Dufferin and Eglinton West Station. And preparations are underway on Centre Island. This is where the Festival of India will have events all weekend.
Mixed TO Festival also happening this weekend for free at Trillium Park on the waterfront. The Jackalope Action Sports Festival is making its debut in the province this weekend. It'll bring skateboarding, bouldering, and breaking to Celebration Square in Mississauga and Square One. And the Toronto Triathlon Festival will take over parts of the DVP and the Gardner on Sunday, and that will result in road closures. For details on that and other events taking place in our city, there are a whole bunch of them. Head to our website, ctvnewstoronto.ca.
Meantime, a major subway closure could factor into your weekend plans. Shuttle buses will be running because a section of Line 2 won't be operating. There'll be no service between Kipling and Kiel because of planned station improvements and track work. Regular service resumes Monday morning at 6.
In western Nova Scotia, a youth was killed in floodwaters caused by heavy rains. The tragedy happened last night in the town of Wolfsville. Police are not releasing the person's name. More than 100 millimeters of rain fell in the region in just a few hours as the remnants of Hurricane Beryl swept through the province. Emergency alerts were issued in 4 counties, warning of flash floods and urging residents to be vigilant. 3 people whose homes were cut off from the road by floodwaters were rescued. Many people had flooded basements as well.
So far, Canadian wildfires have been far less severe than last year, but we're now in the middle of the season and fire activity is increasing. The risk for new blazes is high, particularly in BC, Yukon, and the Northwest Territories. There were 577 active fires as of yesterday, including 402 out of control. Right now, efforts are underway to try and put out about half of them. Just under 1.3 million hectares have been burned, and that's close to the 10-year average for this time of year. By July 2023, 1.3 million hectares had burned in BC alone. It was a record wildfire season in Canada.
A province-wide campfire ban went into effect in BC today. It's intended to help prevent human-caused fires. 150 fires are now burning, and about a quarter of the province's 2,000 firefighters are on scene. Nova Scotia is sending a crew to help. Unseasonably high temperatures have raised the wildfire risk, but most of the province was forecast to get seasonal temperatures today, except for the interior and southeast.
In the Middle East, Israeli forces have now left some areas of Gaza City. Palestinian officials say the bodies of dozens of people have been recovered. Civil defense in Gaza says about 60 bodies have been found so far. The Israeli military said it could not comment on the discovery. It follows days of bombardment and fighting in what Israel says was an effort to find Hamas militants who had regrouped. Israeli forces remain in other locations across the city. They're warning already displaced residents not to return to their homes.
Joe Biden arrived in Detroit this afternoon, one day after his closely watched news conference at the NATO summit.
But did it dispel concerns about the political future of the U.S. president? CTV's Jeremy Sharon has the story.
Thank you. Please be seated.
It was far from just a press conference, a clear effort at redemption from U.S. President Joe Biden.
Can you name me somebody who's gotten more major piece of legislation passed in 3.5 years?
But this Thursday night thriller did little to stop the stream of Democrats who are calling for Biden to end his candidacy following his rocky debate performance 2 weeks ago.
It was, I think, an event that is only going to exacerbate this growing tension within the Democratic Party between elites and congressional lawmakers and the rank and file of the party.
More than a dozen congressional Democrats are now calling for Biden to drop out of the race, a list which has grown since yesterday's press conference.
I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president, but I think she was not qualified to be president.
Moments like that driving concerns about the president's age and ability to lead. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries said today he met privately with Biden last night to express concerns among Democrats.
As long as he sees numbers that show that he is actually tied with Donald Trump or trailing by a few points, he believes that he is within striking distance and can turn this around.
I'm just going to keep moving.
Biden insisted Thursday that he's staying in the race, and in fact today is getting good reviews from meetings with Western allies.
We were billed for 45 minutes. We probably went on for the best part of an hour, covered a lot of ground, and he was in good form.
Now, the New York Times today is reporting the Democratic Party is facing financial pressure to make a change. Major donors have said $90 million in pledged donations are on hold if Biden stays in the race. Jeremy Sherrill, CTV News, Ottawa.
NASA released a new image today showing 2 galaxies in the process of merging. The galaxies are 326 million light years from Earth in the constellation Hydra, each one a collection of billions of stars. They are combining, building up over time to grow from small galaxies into mature galaxies like our own. Nicknamed Penguin and Egg, their interaction was set in motion between 25 and 75 million years ago, and they are expected to become a single galaxy hundreds of millions of years from now.
In the UK, Princess Anne returned to official duties less than 3 weeks after she suffered a concussion. The Princess Royal attended an event in Western England. She'd been a patron of the charity for more than 5 years. The palace says it was part of a gradual return to official duties. The younger sister of the king spent 5 nights in hospital following what Buckingham Palace said was a minor head injury last month. It forced her to postpone planned engagements, including a visit to Canada.
Coming up on CTV News, making good on high-flying plans. A 100-year-old veteran of the Second World War goes skydiving to raise money for sick kids. What he said after this extreme adventure. Still in.
And I'm Pat Foran. Coming up on Consumer Alert, if you have unpaid traffic tickets, your driver's license can be suspended. But a woman says she was shocked to find out her driver's license was pulled for a 13-year-old ticket she thought she had paid. All of that story just ahead.
We are well into festival season here in the city, really right across the GTA. So we're heading out this weekend. It is going to be warm, sunny, but the UV index really high. So sun protection, hydration, super important to be outside and enjoy the weather safely. Coming up, I'll have a full look at your long-range forecast. And stay with us. We have another full night of great shows for you right here on CTV.
If you get a traffic ticket and don't pay it, your driver's license can be suspended until you pay the fine.
Now it appears the city of Toronto is going through its books looking for unpaid tickets going back more than a decade. Here's Pat Foran and Consumer Alert. Pat.
Thanks, Michelle and Nathan. A woman says she was shocked to find out her license was suspended for a ticket she received 13 years ago, as well as paying the fine and a late fee. She also had to pay almost $300 to have her license reinstated.
My driver's license was suspended because I had an unpaid driving fine.
Christine Coldwell of Mississauga is an accountant who keeps meticulous records, which is why she was shocked to get a letter saying her license was suspended for a ticket she got 13 years ago.
I'm not disputing the fact that I had a ticket in 2011. I know I did, but I'm pretty sure I paid it.
If you get a traffic ticket, your license can be suspended and you'll be reminded to pay up when you go to Service Ontario. But Coldwell says despite many interactions over the years, there was no mention of an outstanding fine.
I went and either renewed my license or changed my address on my license 5 times in 13 years. It wasn't there.
The ticket was for an improper turn. Coldwell was told to get her license back. She had to pay the fine, a late payment fee, and a license reinstatement fee for a total of $445.
There's no recourse for me, none. It's just pay the $445 and thank you very much.
She was told the city is going over its books looking for revenue.
Their auditors found things that were not paid, and this is how they've dealt with it.
Coldwell feels drivers should be allowed to pay an outstanding fine without losing their license and says tickets should be dealt with sooner than 13 years.
I paid it under protest. I have no choice because I have to drive.
And other drivers are also getting notices to pay fines from many years earlier. One man told us his license was suspended for a ticket he received 25 years ago. Anytime you get a ticket, it's best to pay it right away. On your side, I'm Pat Foran.
If you have a consumer story idea, email us at alert@ctv.ca.
All right, it's Friday. We're talking weather, and one of the great things about this city during the summer, there are so many things to do, especially on the weekends.
Oh, so this is a particularly busy weekend, and it's really nice when the weather cooperates, and it looks like it's going to. I mean, there's a little light rain shower this hour, but I don't think it's raining on any parades.
No, definitely not, and it will pass through really quickly. We're kind of in that summer season where you get these pop-up showers that come really quickly, late in the day, you know, all that daytime heating that builds up, and then they're gone. So we have a pretty nice night ahead of us if you have outdoor plans a little bit later on. But this weekend's fantastic for all of the different festivals happening in the city, around the city, in the GTA, and across southern Ontario. But for now, we're just holding on to a few light showers, but they will move out just in time for the bulk of the weekend festivities. It is going to be one of those weekends where you want to make sure you're paying attention to the heat. A shot from early on today. It was beautiful to get out to go for a swim. We have so many great kind of different opportunities for that here in the city and really right across the GTA. So take advantage, but this is your reminder that when you put the sunscreen on, you got to put another layer on after you've been in the pool, because that kind of heat can sneak up on you. We'll take a look at our temperature map, and it is warm. We're holding on to still a ton of heat right now. We're sitting at 22 as the rain kind of pushes through. Then we warm back up as we head in towards that kind of second half of our evening. We still feel like 31. We're holding on to a ton of heat in towards Windsor and really right across southern Ontario. It's a warm one as we wrap up the work week. We're holding on to temperatures fairly close to seasonal, once again sitting around 19. A little fog as we see temperatures start to shift a little bit, and that heat really starts to build up as we head in towards the rest of our weekend. For now, we're looking at a daytime high tomorrow just above where we should be, 29. It'll feel like 35, and that's the same almost right across the board. A little warmer towards Waterloo region, but everyone kind of in the upper to low 30 range at the base temperature, and then you add in the humidex and it's feeling into the kind of mid 30 range. We're looking at that little bit of a system making its way through right now, but it moves relatively quickly, and we have a beautiful evening ahead of us and weekend, really thanks to high pressure holding firmly. As we step through, again, the rest of our night, the bulk of that active weather pushes out by about 9 p.m. A clear sky. It's going to be so nice this evening if you want to get out, go for a walk, or hit up one of the many festivals happening in and around the city. Stepping into our Saturday, a ton of sunshine out there. It is going to be warm. Prepare accordingly. Enjoy the summer weather. We have so few weekends in the summer season, but you got to do it safely to make sure you're not getting heat stroke or heat exhaustion. Stepping in towards our Saturday evening, nice and clear. If you're going to be watching the soccer game Saturday night, it'll be nice if you want to be on a patio to do so. And the same as we head in towards our Sunday. A little more cloud cover on Sunday. We're watching for the chance of a passing shower kind of in that mid-afternoon point, but again, it moves up really fast, and we have a beautiful end to the weekend. Now, temperature-wise, we are not too far off the seasonal norm as we head into the day tomorrow for the high and for the low, but the heat builds up as we head in towards our Sunday. Now, if we crack into the 30s on Monday, we do kind of technically get into the heat warning criteria, so we'll see if that takes place, but regardless, it's really warm. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, all that heat building up. The chance of maybe a few pop-up showers to get the week going, but overall, it is beautiful. We do cool down just a little. We dip below seasonal as we head in towards the middle of the week, but to be honest, it's probably a nice break because it's going to be hot this weekend. I'll send things back over to Michelle and Nathan.
Agreed. Thank you, Jess. Toronto Mayor Olivia Chow was joined by two city councillors today as they tested their culinary expertise while promoting a signature summer event. Mayor Olivia Chow, alongside Councillor Shelley Carroll and Amber Morley, visited Veloute Bistro on Lakeshore Boulevard in Etobicoke. This restaurant, along with 200 others, are participating in Summerlicious, which offers preset menus for lunch and dinner. The promotion runs for another 9 days, and the city is encouraging everyone to take advantage.
Summerlicious is about supporting our local restaurant industry, but it's also about whetting your appetite. We make it easy for you to dine out. We make it easy for you to access it all because it's all in one place.
Summerlicious runs until July 21st.
Also tonight, supplying our troops with what could be a lifeline. Canada Blood Services teams up with the Department of National Defence to develop longer-lasting dried plasma.
We have details tonight on a new initiative by the research arm of the Canadian Blood Services.
They're developing a special blood product to be used by our armed forces. As CTV's health reporter Pauline Chan reports, it's hoped to benefit the civilian population as well.
When military troops are injured, there can often be significant delay before they can get to hospital, and blood supplies during this time can be vital. But liquid or frozen blood needs to be refrigerated, and it's bulky and heavy to transport.
What we're looking to bring into the system today is actually being able to dry plasma, which is retaining the viability of certain components.
Canadian Blood Services is teaming up with the Department of National Defence and Veteran Affairs Canada, along with a commercial company, to develop dried plasma. And it's similar to a dried serum that was used in the Second World War and the Korean War.
The difference between plasma and what they had in the past, serum, is that the vital proteins that help with stopping bleeding, the coagulation proteins, are not present in serum.
The dried blood would be much lighter than the frozen form currently used. It might be as small as 1/10 the size of regular blood supplies. And while frozen plasma is good for 1 year, dried plasma requires no refrigeration and can be kept for up to 4 years.
Because you're removing a lot of that liquid, about 200 mils of that liquid, you're really packing down that component so that it's really easy. For example, in battlefield medicine for a military member to be carrying that in their backpack.
Sterilized water is added to rehydrate the package right before use. The researchers hope the dried plasma will benefit not just the military, but also civilian populations, say in rural areas where cold storage or ready blood supplies are not available. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
A vaccination program for RSV is being strongly recommended for older seniors and those living in long-term care homes. The National Advisory Committee on Immunization says vaccination against RSV should be provided to people aged 75 and older, and it should be offered to residents of long-term care or other chronic care facilities starting at age 60. Other adults between 60 and 74 should talk to their care provider about whether to get the RSV vaccine. Older adults, as well as infants, are at higher risk of severe illness.
We're getting a first look at the new Captain America movie. The first trailer for Captain America: Brave New World has been released. It's the fourth installment in the franchise. Harrison Ford also stars as the U.S. president. Marvel comic book character Red Hulk also debuts in the film. It's scheduled to arrive in theaters in February. And after the break, Maple Leaf forward Mitch Marner is paying it forward by helping ensure kids have a sustainable future. A conversation with a hockey superstar coming up.
We have a fantastic forecast heading into the weekend, so if you're staying local or heading out to the island, we have sunshine across the board. The UV index and humidity levels will be high, so prepare accordingly. Coming up, I'll have your full 7-day forecast.
And then Ontarians can be the judge as to whether or not these unionized, government-run LCBO locations are actually the best in terms of convenience, price, and service.
Updating our top stories, the Canadian Taxpayers Federation is calling on Queen's Park to allow grocery stores to sell all types of liquor during the LCBO strike. But the province said today it's not going to happen.
Ontario Place Protectors, I think, simply expresses a view that's very widely held by Ontarians basically everywhere. And that is a deep-rooted concern about the future of one of the most iconic pieces of land that we have in our province.
Construction at Ontario Place has been paused following a legal challenge. Ontario Place Protectors argues the land belongs to the people, not the government, and powers from judges have been eroded by the government.
The success is really hearing from the people, that they feel that we are making a little bit of difference, making their life a bit easier.
Olivia Chow became the mayor of Toronto 1 year ago tonight. She says City Hall is just beginning to get the city back on the right track and wants to keep on building on it one step at a time. Remember to keep up to date day and night through our website, ctvnewstoronto.ca.
U.S. and Canadian stocks have again jumped to new record highs. Andrew Bellabian and Bloomberg brings us the latest in business.
Hello there. We saw a new record high close today for Toronto's benchmark stock index, with the S&P 500 in the States ending just short of a record as investors wager that lower borrowing costs are coming and a recession will be avoided. Gold stocks lifted Toronto yet again, with bullion trading near all-time highs above $2,400 US an ounce. South of the border, bank stocks slipped, but big US tech names such as Nvidia and Apple moved higher again. Investors also continued to buy smaller stocks, which have lagged the run-up in the tech mega caps. On the markets, the Canadian dollar traded at 73.35 US cents, up a fraction. WTI oil, the North American benchmark, was at $82.20, down 42 cents. Western Canadian Select oil changed hands at $67.32 US a barrel, up 11 cents. And the TSX Composite finished at 22,673.52, up just over 129 points. That's the latest in business. I'm Andrew Bell of BNN Bloomberg.
WestJet says the tentative contract with its plane mechanics has been ratified. The airline believes the 5-year agreement will provide stability for its business. The union says the deal contains wage increases that reflect the value of the mechanics to the company. More than 1,000 flights were canceled as a result of a 2-day strike over the Canada Day long weekend.
The Business Report is brought to you by Canadian Western Bank, the bank built for business.
Apple's Vision Pro debuted in Canada today. The headset allows wearers to enjoy digital immersive experiences, from browsing photos to watching movies and participating in meetings, all with their eyes and hands as controllers. It also debuted in France, Germany, and the UK today. Last year, Apple projected to sell at least 500,000 headsets, a number they're struggling to hit.
A new report says the global population may peak before the end of the century and then start decreasing after that. The United Nations forecasts the population will continue to grow from the current 8 billion to more than 10 billion by 2080. After that peak, it will begin to fall, partly due to fertility rates around the world dropping faster than expected. The report says the global fertility rate is currently 2.25 births per woman, one child less than in 1990.
Well, we've seen what Mitch Marner can do on the ice. The Toronto Maple Leaf Stars.
I've been raised
There's
here.
a clip.
This is my home, so I've been lucky enough and graceful enough that I've gotten a spotlight around me now, being in this market, and I want to do something special with it. It's always just so enjoyable to come out here and see a smile on the face of these kids, and also to see what they do to us. It brings us back to the young ages, and having fun with them.
The Maple Leaf Star scores highlight reel goals, plays great defensive hockey, and makes tape-to-tape passes. But even though it's the offseason, the forward is still responsible for a major assist. He's helping others via the 6th annual Marner All-Star Invitational. Today was the on-ice event, 4 different skills challenges, with the winning team getting set to skate with Marner and other pros during the warm-up for their 3-on-3 game. Just ahead, the last time he did something like this, he was 80 years younger. A veteran paratrooper celebrates 100 years on this earth in an extreme way. We'll take you along for the ride after this short break.
Tonight, an extravagant celebration and a glitzy guest list.
I think that the goal here is just to really set the Ambanis apart.
Celebrities descend on India for an heir's lavish wedding that's become a global spectacle. Later on CTV National News.
We have breaking news. A New Mexico judge has thrown out the involuntary manslaughter case against Alec Baldwin, saying it cannot be filed again. The case was dismissed based on the misconduct of police and prosecutors over the withholding of evidence from the defense. Baldwin left the courthouse without speaking to reporters, and his attorneys had no comment. The judge had sent jurors home for the day before listening to testimony and deciding the case could not proceed. Well, finally tonight, a thrill 10,000 feet in the air, a century in the making.
A 100-year-old veteran took on a heart-pounding challenge, an incredible moment raising money for a good cause. CTV's Mike Walker was along for the ride.
Ed Marshall has always dreamed of feeling the exhilaration of a parachute jump again. And after turning 100 this past December, that dream has now come true for the veteran paratrooper.
I've never had a high float under a parachute, just floating down and enjoying it.
Carrying a picture of his late wife Molly for the thrilling adventure.
She was always an angel, so I'll be closer to her up there.
Marshall, who completed his paratrooper training at the end of the Second World War, ascending to the sky again, taking the leap for the first time in 80 years. Falling from a height of more than 10,000 feet, in tandem with Canadian Armed Forces veteran paratrooper Adam Wicnicki, with dozens of family and supporters cheering him on as they touch down.
It's just a rush of air. The Army jumps where there's not much time to float or anything. They get you on the ground fast. You can't really compare it with that. Was I okay?
You were awesome.
Like a regular paratrooper, you know? Cool, calm, and collective, so he was great. You know, 2 paratroopers in the sky. I'll do anything for another airborne brother.
This has been so many months, years in the making. It's been 80 years since his last jump. It's a surreal moment for sure.
This is more than a bucket list jump. Marshall is raising money for Sick Kids Hospital. So far, he's raised more than $90,000, just shy of his $100,000 goal.
Kids are our future, and so we have to look after them.
This is an incredible amount of money, so it will go towards supporting our unrestricted fund, which helps support the highest priority needs of the hospital.
An incredible accomplishment.
That's what I wanted to do, and I have done it. Now I'm waiting for more donations to come in.
And you're great.
Good. We're a good team.
While supporting the next generation at the same time. Mike Walker, CTV News, Cayuga.
Isn't he incredible?
Something tells me he's going to hit his $100,000 goal. Would you jump out of a plane? I couldn't do it.
Maybe with God willing, when I'm 100, I'll consider it.
Okay, maybe.
I will wait till 100, but for now, I'll just take video from the ground for you guys. But it is going to be a beautiful weekend. I mean, if you want to jump out of a plane, go for it, for charity or for fun, but wait till tomorrow. A little rain still holding on right now, but it moves out as we kind of head into the early evening. And then we have a beautiful weekend ahead of us. High pressure really settles in, and it's going to get warm. So as you plan your weekend activities, add in some sun protection and hydration. There's that little cell that popped up. It moves out in the next few hour or so. And then as we head into the evening, a clear and mild night. Right now, still sitting at 23. Feeling like 32. Around home tomorrow, it's going to be beautiful outside. But again, that UV index very high. The sun is strong. So make sure you prepare yourself accordingly. A hot and sunny weekend, I'll take it.
Yes, thank you, Jess. That's it for us, but be sure to join Heather Butts tonight at 11 for CTV National News, followed by Natalie Johnson with our next local newscast at 11:30.
In the meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and online at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Jessica Smith and the whole team here at CTV News, thank you for watching. Have a great weekend.